Hi friends, welcome to Crochet 101 Getting Started. Today we are going to cover how to find out what your hook size should be for your yarn, how to make a slip knot, how to make a chain, building our single crochet stitches, as well as undoing our errors. So to get started, we're going to have a look at the label on our ball, and we've got some symbols here that we need to pay attention to. The top one is for knitting. We're not interested in that, so we're not going to worry about it. The one that we need to focus on is this little one just down here. So this is showing us that for our crochet hooks, our recommended size is a 6.5mm hook, a size 3 if your hooks are UK sized, or a K hook, or a 10.5 if you are in the US. So let's get started on building a slip knot. These are going to be the foundations of all of your chains. Just grab the tail end. So when you are starting your work, having a loose bit of yarn just here is going to make sure that your tension isn't too tight and that you're not pulling too much on your ball. So try and keep that as loose as you can whilst you are working. There are two different methods that I'm going to show you for building a slip knot. There are other methods out there, so if neither of these work for you, feel free to hit up YouTube where you can find something that will be a bit better suited. So to get started, we're going to get a nice long tail from our ball. We're going to grab the end and cross it over our tail attached to the ball. This short strand just here, we're going to pinch at the cross and move it underneath our circle. So it looks a little bit like that. Next, we're going to grab our hook. We're going to go over the outside of the circle, underneath the strand in the middle, and over the strand on the other end. To complete your slip knot, pinch your two ends together and then pull your hook out. That will make your slip knot. If you pull the ball end, your slip knot will get bigger. If you pull the short end, your slip knot will get tighter. So when you're starting off, it is natural for your tension to be all over the place. So make sure that this loop just here is loose enough for you to work into, but not too loose that it's going to throw off everything that you're doing. So that is technique number one. Technique number two, we're going to get our two fingers, grab our tail end from the ball. We're going to wrap over our fingers, go underneath, and then we're going to cross over and hold that last bit of the tail in between our ring finger and our middle finger. Then we are going to get our hook and over your middle finger, we're going to go underneath that first strand and over on the second. So if you can see, the hook is going to pull that second strand out for us. We're then going to grab our two ends together. Oh, I dropped it. Oh no. Hold your two ends together with your hook grabbing the strand, and you're going to slide your fingers out. That is method two. So give them both a try. One of them may work better for you, neither of them may work, or both of them may work. It is up to you which method you are going to follow. So next we are going to go on to how to build our chains. So these are very, very simple. All you do is yarn over hook and then pull up a loop through the loop on your hook. So we're going to go yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull up a loop. It is that simple. So build your chain, and we are going to chain up to 11. To help make your chains a little bit neater, if you pinch just underneath your hook as you are building, it helps stop your chain from twisting. But if it does twist, do not worry too much about it. It will get a little bit easier with practice. So we'll just do a few more chains. Now we're going to count them. So the way that we are going to count our stitches is we don't count this loop on the hook. We are going to count the bottom of the stitch that is off. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 and 11. Perfect, we've got the right amount. So next we are going to go into our single crochet stitch. That is in US terms. If you are working in UK terms, this will be a double crochet. So the stitch height for a single crochet is 1 chain. So at the end of every row, we are going to make 1 chain and then turn. But we don't have a row at the moment. So how are we going to work that 1 chain height? We're going to skip this very first chain and we are going to build our stitch into the second chain. To build your stitch, get your hook, push it through the second chain from the hook, yarn over and pull up a loop. Yarn over and pull through 2 to complete your stitch. That is your single crochet. So we'll do that again, go nice and slowly for you. So we're going to go into our next stitch, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over and pull through 2. If you are finding that it's a little bit tricky to get that second yarn over through both loops, just relax this yarn hand a little bit more. If you're holding that really tight, you're going to find it's a little bit tricky to build your stitches. Keep that hand nice and relaxed and then your hook will just glide through your stitches. You may have noticed that whilst building your single crochet, the top of the stitch makes a little V shape. These are your loops. So looking at our work this way, we've got our front loop just here and we've got our back loop just here. For the moment, we are not going to build into either one of these loops. Instead, we will go straight underneath them. This will become a little bit clearer once we build our first row. Continue practicing your single crochets across this chain and then we will meet again to build up our row 2. So we have completed the end of our first row. If you remember back to the start of the video, the little bit about the stitch height, this is where we're going to need it to change into the next row. So we're going to chain 1 and then turn our work so that the other side is facing us. So quick recap on the chain, so yarn over and pull through the loop on your hook and then we're going to turn. If your work is curving a little bit like this, do not worry, it will straighten out with the more length that you put into it. So we've done our chain 1, we are going to build into this very first stitch just here. Now last row I told you about the front loop and the back loop. We are going to go underneath both loops. Because this is the top of our stitch, this counts as 1. So when we do the first half of our stitch building, we go hook in, yarn over, pull through 1, yarn over, pull through 2. Go underneath both loops, yarn over, pull up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2. It can get a little bit fiddly at times, but just take your time, be patient, you will get there. So we're just going to keep going all the way across the row. Remember to keep that tail from the ball nice and relaxed. This last stitch on our first row sometimes can be a little bit tricky to look for, but if you are unsure as to whether there is another stitch, just rotate your work around and see if you can find that V. So it's just there. We're going to go underneath both loops. This bit's always a bit fiddly for me. Now we'll pull up our loop and complete our row. So before we're going to go on to row 3, what we're just going to do is count our stitches. This is very important when you are building something like a scarf or a blanket or anything really, where you have to make sure that you have the right amount of stitches. So to count our stitches, a little bit like our chains, we're not going to count the bit on our hook. We're going to count how many V's we've got on our work. So we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. It's brilliant, we've not missed a stitch. If you have missed a stitch, what you will need to do is undo a bit of your work to get to the stitch that you've missed. If you have missed stitches, you will see that you have got a hole in your work. So I'm going to build up chain 3 just to show you what that would look like. And then I will show you how to undo any mistakes. So we're going to do 1, 2 and 3. We're going to skip this next stitch which is hiding just there, and we are going to crochet into the 5th stitch along. So let's say that this has happened to you in one of your stitches and you suddenly only have 9 in your row. How do you work out what has gone wrong? Well, the first thing that you can see is that if you are laying your start of your work down, just gently press it, this isn't perfectly straight. So we can have a look at our work, we give it a little pull and we will be able to see where our stitches have gone. Just here you can see that there is a hole. That is where we have missed the stitch. So to undo that, we're going to go to these loops just above it. We are going to insert our hook in between the 2 stitches, so it won't be underneath both of them. It's going to be through the loops. Pull your ball tail. That will undo all of the stitches that you've done up until the mistake, and then you've got your chain on your hook. From here you can pick up and carry on as normal. So we'll go just to the end. And from here we can see that our work, the top row, is a lot straighter than it was when we had the mistake in it. So keep practicing with your single crochets, build up a nice square. Once you are happy with it, come back and check for our video Crochet 102, how to build other stitches. Thank you very much for watching. We are Chris Palmer Crochet and we will see you soon. Goodbye.